Well, that's well. Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I'm your host, DBJ, and running this a little bit seat of the pants. I didn't even make a thumbnail till maybe 5 minutes, a little less than 5 minutes ago. Sorry for starting a little bit late. Trying to show a little bit of an intro today, and the rest of this week. We're going to talk about Obsidian Star, a rules medium tabletop role playing game being developed by myself and our co-host here. Definitely science fiction, absolutely post-human. And I thought today we would take a step back a little bit and talk about like why even bother making this game. And I don't mean this in a negative way. Sometimes when we are tabletop role-playing developers, when we're in a creative space, we get in our own heads and we're like, oh, everyone's going to like this and everyone's going to understand what this concept is about. And that's not necessarily true. So just so that I understand that this link may not have gotten out very well, I'm going to kibitz a little bit. Going to do a little jazz scat here, just so that people can get the link both on YouTube and Twitch and things like that. Hello, everyone. Speaking in languages I do not understand. Most likely, I'm going to assume it's German. Hi there. Everyone who's able to participate at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, well, my time, is a co-host, and I appreciate you guys being here. Yes, I did my little Amazon and used the logo, and T-shirt arrived. I'm proud of its quality. You never know if you just get like a one-off T-shirt. Heck, there might even be a desire for some people to get merchandise, which would be a little bit bizarre. So let's rewind a little bit. Like, why? I want to answer many of the like why even bother having this role playing game. And hey, TA, have some questions for TA. I'd like to run some concepts by you. I don't even know if I have my proper book in front of me. Oh shit. Nope, I sure don't. I don't. Or yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. Shai's like, can I buy a t-shirt? Well, the simple answer is not really, but the main answer is I could just make one and send it to you, I guess. Yeah. Dead man's like, yeah, you need to put it through the wash a few times. Yeah, because it's what it depends on the type of shirt, but a lot of them are like one-off shirts, meaning like they don't even know what they're printing. They just get an order in from something that I created, and then they just press it onto the shirt. So will this material stick onto the shirt after a few washes? I don't know. It's brand new. So you are absolutely correct there, D. You are absolutely correct. Rob Agger's videos. Okay. I don't know who Rob Agger or Azure is. Take a look at that. I love movie analyses. Anyway, we're going to do an analysis right here. So the point of Obsidian Star is a post-human science fiction role-playing game. And along the way, I have described, in small amounts, like why the statistics are the way they are, why. But I thought I would do a big overview just so we're all on the same page, and those who are interested in even delving into this understand like what's the point. And for me, I didn't want a setting that explained exactly what the future would be. Instead, through advancement of ourselves and technology and the processes that we use and the way we think about technology, it can have I feel it can have an incredible impact on the way we live our lives today. Every facet of our life could be changed if smart people do smart things. And it's not necessarily that smart people do things. It's not necessarily that smart people do smart things. We're human beings, and we're pretty. We're and individually we're pretty smart in taking care of ourselves. But as a mob, as a group, um, we're pretty bad at it. And I don't believe technology itself is bad. I just think that when we cave people, when we're given tools, sometimes we just like to bash other people in the head with it. And and today, uh what are you guys talking about? Tia says, I like how it's a multicolored pass print, but gives the illusion of not being one since two of the colors are gray and white, analogs of the black the shirt makes as a background. The only color it displays is the red with zero blue or green or yellow or mixtures of these. Hmm. Are you is this a comment? Is this a comment about the design of the shirt? Or the logo and things like that? Because I appreciate it. I didn't do as much of a detail about it. I literally just made it seat of the pants, like what I thought it would be. Oh, Rob Ager Ager. I know I'm butchering his last name. Does super detailed, in-depth analyses of subliminal messages in movies. Oh, sweet. I was watching the one on why post-millennial movies tend to be bad, and surprisingly, he has not touched on any Hukama nonsense yet. It's all about how the movies are processed too hard that ends up. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is basically that. Most people, if you make a good product, what's the ultimate um success cures everything. So a good product, no matter how it got there, people usually forgive why it got there. I'm so sorry guys. Whatever this head cold is, it's been sticking around for a while. All right, so um I wanted to talk about some of the truisms of this setting and what makes it very different from other tabletop role playing settings. And I'd like to get into it, basically do the elevator pitch of like what exactly will you be doing in this setting. So one of the things that I think is often um, um, written away in tabletop role playing games and science fiction in general um, has to do with population. And in this setting, there are at least a trillion souls, if not more, in our own setting. And this setting takes place in our own solar system. The Copernican system or Helios system takes place from the Oort cloud and collapsing on in on itself, not physically, but just in that area. And I feel like our own solar system is not given a lot of credit in in science fiction. We often start on Earth. We may move to another planet or planetary body like the Moon or Mars, and then after that, it's intergalactic travel, aliens, and very little in the middle. And I feel that our own solar system is amazing, is an amazing location to have a tabletop role playing game. There are very strange and unique uh, physics going on in our own solar system that I feel would be amazing to see. Like, for example, I believe it's on Neptune or Uranus that it basically can rain diamonds. It rains carbon, and that carbon, while it falls into its core, turns to diamonds. Basically, they get compacted because of the gravity. And I think that would just be an amazing thing to see. Finding out what's really beneath the clouds of Venus, and could we literally live in habitats below Venus? I would love to see that. Um, could there be life on, or could human beings modify our own life? Could we modify our bodies so that we can live in some of these extremely dangerous locations to human life? Humans are not really designed for space travel. And so, how would we do that? Would we just create better habitats, or would it be more? Uh, would we adapt ourselves to become a interstellar species? And far do we go with with modifying our bodies to become an interstellar species to the point where we become our own aliens? And that is where I think a lot of this would shine. Mm, mm, mm. Looking at what you guys are talking about. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. So, one of the thing, or actually two things that this exists in other post-human tabletop role-playing games. I'm looking at Eclipse Phase and a little bit of the Altered Carbon show. And that is, how do you play in a game where these two things are true in this tabletop role-playing setting? One is that your mind is basically rent to own, and your body is like a lease coming to the end of its contract. In other words, um, as as a person who wants to play in this game, your mind is basically game setting fodder for the spiral, the game master, and everybody else. And that can be a little bit difficult to embrace when the idea that you are making a character who has a background that may not even be true, or may be true for somebody else but not you, or isn't exactly the way you remember it. Um, and this, from the outside, we've seen movies and television shows and writing where we've seen this, but Lord says Elon Musk should go to Neptune. Yeah, he's crazy enough to do a lot of those things. um mm, Even the idea of, do we or should we exploit the resources that exist in our solar system, and who has the right to do that? And if you do start doing that, who gets to have the benefits of those things? So, um I think the hardest concept to wrap our heads around is that your mind is basically rent to own. When you start this game, there's a there's a chance that your game master may suggest to you that, you know, those memories you have belong to somebody else. um, the people that's meeting you and recognizing you, you don't remember who they are. You may get a message from yourself that says, hey, listen, someone killed me, please find out who murdered us, or you, or me, or whatever the case may be. So yeah. Take out your bones and turn yourself into a blob. I'm not sure about that. Hmm. Hmm. Shai says, "How would you modify your body for interstellar travel?" Um, uh, Again, I wanted a setting where we didn't like. I didn't make that specific choice. I wanted as many options available that people would make to do such a thing. So, one of them is. Should I share? I guess I could share some of it. One of the ideas is that people, for example, who live on the moon, the Lunarians have very thin, long, extended bodies, essentially, um, almost looking. They almost look not just thin but skeletal, and have an extreme height. As a matter of fact, there have been a lot of the astronauts that go into space, because of the lack of gravity, their chest starts to expand and their heads start to expand because the blood doesn't flow down to our feet because our heart is trying to do it. We actually start to balloon out a little bit. But I imagined that people living in born and raised in low gravity would start to rise up. Lord said, "Rent to own mind." Yes, a little bit difficult to grasp the idea that your mind is rent to own, and I mean that in a meta sense. Meta. in the meta sense of the word, um, in the sense that you might make your character and you design your character to be this, I don't know, ex-soldier, badass. Like I run around with heavy weapons, and I'm just like, I'm a combat monster, and I spent time in the military with like a badass black ops group. And the truth of the matter might be, you woke up like 6 weeks ago. All that memory that you have of yourself being a badass might have been programmed by somebody else. Or maybe you're a clone of the real person and you haven't existed very long anyway, even though those memories are real. Or maybe, maybe that memory was created by in a VR and it never really happened the way you think it happened. Um, or maybe all those things are true, but you've been on ice for like 47 years and you just woke up and you don't remember the fact that you've been your mind was put down for 47 years and you've just woken up. To you, you think you took a nap or you went to sleep, you woke up and the world's different, but the world's kept moving on. Shai says cortical stacks from the eclipse phase must have been a big inspiration for you. Not just that, there has been a lot of science fiction around that, like digital human freight from Altered Carbon. In my world, it's your mind is basically a zipper, or actually the cortical stack is just called a zip or zipper. And yes, that concept isn't necessarily from Eclipse Phase, but Eclipse Phase took that idea and ran with it as well. And I'm doing the same thing. So it while it is an excellent, no doubt, an award-winning, excellent tabletop role-playing game, I wanted to make the concept a little bit simpler and make the numbers and things like that a little bit simpler because I just feel that the rules, the way they are implemented, are a little bit too daunting for a lot of people to get into it. Yeah, Lunarians are like Sultan Kosin. I'm butchering that. He's a Turkish farmer that stands 8'2". Yes, absolutely, absolutely like that. And the that's one way I think our bodies would modify themselves. We would turn longer because there'll be less gravity pushing us down. We would just grow much longer. Would people specifically want ourselves to grow that long? I don't know. I think we would find ways to get around that. I also think modifying ourselves to live on Mars, having lungs that are adapted to breathing carbon dioxide or a thinner atmosphere, being adapted to the cold would be a thing. Living in zero gravity, would we have hands in replace of our feet with opposable thumbs like simians, like monkeys and apes and things like that? Would that be preferable so that we would have, maybe we modify our the mechanism that tells us up is up and down is down, that we would become adapted to living in a three-dimensional society and not having a desire or a need to know what is up and down, just that we are able to adapt to live in a hive type of setting. I have the idea of human 2.0, basically human development, physical development, put on a map and redesigned. So there are humans that have like a very dark, from deepest black through like violets and purples and lilac colors, to make our skin resistant to um, outside radiation and ultraviolet radiation, and to be able to absorb light from our distant star when we go much further out than Earth, so we can get that vitamin D. The idea that our forearms and our calves have two bones and that the skin is split so that we have like three fingers go to one bone and two go to the other. They split in half so that we have more opposability with our fingers, maybe an extra digit or something. Again, just being adapted to breathing in thin atmospheres and such. TA says going into stasis will screw with memory, so paying to store your mind on something more stable with redundancy to have when you come out, so you are not losing your past memories and skills, etc. Exactly, which is the idea of a tabletop role playing game where true death is kind of off the table, but deletion is. So a player character could literally have a bad guy walk up to the back of their head and take a blaster bolt to the back of the head and kill your character, but your cortical stack, your zipper, might or probably most likely will be salvageable by a player character, a third party like a machine or a drone, maybe an enemy who wants to gather you and have them have your mind in their back pocket and something. Yeah. TA says, and having it continues to say, and having it become so expensive that you have to continue to pay for it, like a mortgage on a house. Yes, yes. Financial indentured servitude is a thing as well. You want to leave Earth, we'll pay your way. You're just going to have to pay it off through your services to get where you're going. Um, yeah, absolutely. TA says, yeah, I think they used it in Killjoys too, where you can have a clone of yourself do something with your brain transmitted and then result memories sent back. Yep, yep, absolutely. You can go on a mission where a essentially you are playing a proxy of yourself that might go into an environment that's extremely hazardous where you kind of know you're not going to survive, and then because what's needed are your memories, your experiences that could then be used and reinstanced into your current mind, although there could be some issues because maybe you are in a body that you're not used to, so you get a little bit of a dysmorphic dysmorphic um, dissonance happening with the between your mind and body. Having memories of the exact same time period from two different places also has an effect and such. Shitlord says, so you can have all this stuff in your head that simulates your dopamine receptor. So it's like you're having a constant orgasm on dope and coke. So there's no point in doing anything else in life. The simple answer is yes. Yes, there are people who are addicted to and have the ability to engage in pure pleasure. And even that is can be used against people. So you can plug something literally into your brain that keeps activating the like you said, like the dopamine in your head, receptors that basically puts you into a state of bliss, but only for a specific period of time, and then it cuts off. And then I could imagine a lot of people like going into being quite pissed off when your job is like, you can't have this anymore. You get it for 37 minutes, but you just burned up. You got to go back to work to work it off. So yeah, that and how if you get no return memory stack from the experience, you can guess the clone was destroyed before being able to re-enter the capsule, so the memories could be uploaded and transmitted. Yes, having an adventure where literally you're going on an adventure to find out what happened to you 3 weeks ago, to get your to recover your own, to see your own dead body, recover your own zipper, to then take those memories and re-upload them into your own brain. Yes, and the idea of that, shitlord says, oh my god, YouTube just censored me. I get uh they have parameters. Yeah, it's not, YouTube isn't free. All of us are the product. Yeah. Drew says, is that blindfolded viewer video? Was not sure, but then I saw my comment there, which confirmed that this was the video. I'm uncertain what you're referring to. Yeah, shitlord says, I was just talking about implants in your brain for constant pleasure. I guarantee you somebody will develop that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, how could you monetize that? Um, and when I say monetize, turn it into a resource that you benefit from it by giving it to other people. I don't know. More or less, I think you could get uh, their loyalty out of you through essentially pleasurable force. Mm. Yeah, TA says I had an idea for a Time Lord like entity that has something constantly transmitting their mind to a backup on their ship and a level that has thousands of cloned bodies ready to be deployed. Hell's yes. Hell's yes. Yeah, you got to be very narcissistic to have clone bodies of yourself. Although you might have a rebellion, right? Just because you make a clone, put your mind into that clone doesn't mean that clone's loyal to you. Once the clone exists, the clone is you, and that clone might be like, "Why the hell would I send myself on a suicide mission? That makes zero sense. I'm not doing that." Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Deadman says, "Look up some of the images of the tallest people in history." Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. Let's do that. Let's look that up. Let's get some images here. Ooh, there we go. Mm, 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 mm. And come on, you stupid Luddite. Want DBJ. Here's some images. I've got my border. It's kind of blocking a lot of stuff. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can find someone. What's a good image? Tallest black woman in the 1800s, tallest people in the world, cultures with the tallest people. There's plenty of videos of people who are today who like walk around and talk to like some of the tallest people. Mm-mm-mm. Here, let's pull this individual up here. Tallest man in history stood almost 9 feet tall. As a person with chronic depression, I should be prone to addictions, but somehow I am not. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for sharing some personal information. And uh, in a and you know this, absolutely know this, Drew. I want to make a setting where, as a human being, if we could make the choice about modifying, changing, altering, improving, even, or just alleviating ourselves of certain issues with our body and our mind. Not only what would we do, but what would we look like after we did such a thing, right? If you could, if you could eliminate the trauma that you've gone through in your life, would you remove it? And then would you keep it around so you could temporarily plug it back in? Um, some say that traumas are the things that make some of our greatest people in history. But would we want to impose that consciously onto somebody else? Um, with or without their choice. And do those traumas make us who we are? If we had a copy of our personality, one who we are now, another one that we modified, and both lived, would we be jealous of the clone of ourselves, the copy of ourselves? And what if that other individual that modified themselves is still walking around and having a better life than you are now? Would you, is it was the choice that you didn't remove your trauma? Would a society look at you like you're strange that you didn't erase those horrible things that happened in your memories? And so on and so forth. Yeah, TA says, I says the nanotech dumps itself on purpose, and you urinate it out, and you have to keep buying another dose to get the effect. Yes, yes, absolutely. That very much um, is how I imagine like nanotech inside the body. That there are no von Neumann nanotech, or it's illegal. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's illegal in this setting. Nanotech that keeps reproducing itself doesn't exist. So you could have nanotech that can stitch your wounds together, or make sure that you are never confused in zero G, or that you have extra muscle around your heart, or your lungs are modified. But at a certain point, it actually is going to go away, and it has to be reinstanced. Oh, okay. Thank you there, Drew. Yeah, I was like, what? I didn't understand. T says that was script. You're blasting me, T. Come on, Mr. Anderson. You're blasting me. Overload. Wouldn't Lord says, wouldn't everybody in the universe do that then? Get constant pleasure implants and never do anything else? Not necessarily, no. We already have a version of that today, and those are, well, over-the-counter drugs and illegal drugs. We have the ability to only engage in things that are pleasurable to us, but there are a lot of people who don't. Um, People who think in the future and go, if I do this thing now, it's going to intrude on myself in the future. Um, look at all the videos that are dedicated to individuals who push their bodies to the limit. And when I say push their bodies and minds to the limit, all your survivor shows, all of your prepper videos, all of your sports and um, uh, um, people who what is it? What's the thing where you eat less food? Um, people don't just automatically do the simplest thing because we have examples of people not doing that. So yeah, yeah, and like Shai says, well, there has to be a game, right? And that's automatically going to the lowest common denominator. And I want a setting in which the player characters everything is up in the air in the setting, and the player characters represent all of them together represent a constellation, and that constellation. Imagine looking at the stars, and humanity sat back in the grass on the hill and looked up into the stars and started putting the stars together into these constellations, and those constellations are is just basically light from distant stars. Some of them may be already burned out, but together, viewing it, we attach a shape and a history to it, a mythology to it. And the player characters themselves are a constellation. They are distant stars, some burn out, some brand new, some very bright, others dim and fading away. But together, they represent a constellation, a mythology, a mythological a story that we can tell ourselves that shapes our world. And the player characters are the beings that are going to shape this world. That the shape of that world, a little chaotic. So as players, if there's no judgment of what the ethics or morality is in a setting, the players get to decide that, and so yeah, if they've come across a habitat where the vast majority of people there are just plugging themselves in or taking a drug or bathing in some kind of nanotech soup that just puts them into a pleasure center, how do they live? Would that spread to other habitats and people don't want it to spread? Is this the ultimate? Is this the ultimate drug dealer thing? Could introducing something like this into a society make or break that society far quicker than any other, despotic overlord could, destroy a very powerful society or something? The answer to that is probably, or maybe, or who goes to stop such a thing? Mm-mm-mm. Shitlords is like, okay, then the cocaine orgasm only 50% of the time. Hey, listen, if it only happened 50% of the time, that would be worse than it happening automatically because then you get you get the gambler's response where you keep hitting the button. They did this with animals and feeding them food, and they keep hitting the button because they don't know if food's going to come out or not. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Thank you there, Drew. I hope you're chopping me up and sucking me up into your nostrils. Uh, yeah. Yeah, pick up another vice other than me. Real life drugs lose effectiveness pretty quickly. Yeah, they do. Which is why like fentanyl is a big thing now. It's just because it's crazy. The one thing I have a question about Obsidian Star is has the sun been colonized, like Isaac Arthur has mentioned in his videos being possible? You know what? Yes. For those who don't know, Isaac Arthur's talk has a series about colonizing all of our celestial or interstellar bodies in our solar system. including the sun, and not quite. So Mercury is a political hotbed. There's a lot of assassinations and people working off of Mercury. And Mercury is right now being, along with other celestial bodies, being brought in to be dismantled to turn it into the very first Dyson swarm around the sun. And there are engineers living on a now being processed um, solar panel system around the sun, which is going to be very huge. And they're living in this thing basically that's thousands of kilometers wide and hundreds of thousands of kilometers long, that is being extended around the sun. And the idea is that this will be this will be the largest. Um, it will be basically be infinite power if we are able to absorb the sun and living around the sun. And there are people who have adapted themselves to living in and around the corona of the sun, or maybe probably a little bit further out from the sun. So yes, there are no colonies within the corona of the sun at the moment. Um, Actually, I kind of thought it might be pushing the science a little bit too much, but yes, that is a thing. That is very much a thing. There is actually stellar mining because the sun keeps throwing off energy and materials and such. And so yes, there is a stellar mining of the 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 atoms that are being slung off the sun and collected together. Sadre says, "Good morning. Is that your sci-fi setting?" Yes, yes, it is. Uh, not the images of these individuals, but those are the tallest people in the world. Mm-mm-mm. TA says there's a pretty horrific depiction of dopamine addiction by Azay Altair, the guy who did Capital of Conformity AI short video. Oh, I don't know if I even want to see that, but yeah. Drew says, we talked recently about the rat utopia, so I guess happiness would kill a society, since if there's nothing that keeps people going. And I would like to introduce that the idea of purpose. So um, if you guys know who Isaac Arthur is, and if you don't know, please check out Science and Futurism with Isaac Arthur. Go check out the channel right now. But in he is a positive leaning individual scientist, and believes that, if we have purpose, then we won't get bored. And we know that there are people who are very rich and have very many choices about how they want to live their life in the future. And many of them create purpose for themselves. Now, that purpose might not be good. Their purpose might be making other people look bad. We have very rich individuals, the Elon Musks and the Bezoses and the Zuckerbergs, that have picked for themselves a purpose. Now, many of us may not believe in their purpose, but they've decided to have a purpose. And so, how we in this game, as a constellation, as the whole group becomes a constellation, maybe it's up to you guys to figure out how much influence should one person's purpose have over a society. 10 people, 1,000 people, 100,000 people. Like, at what point does a single person's purpose, their gravity of that purpose, draw other people into it? And so Yunada says, I love sci-fi. Have you already decided what type of system you will use? It will be something will it be something owned or based on something? No, it is something that is our own. Yeah, there are colony ships that are heading way past the Oort cloud, but you'll never see them. It's a one-way trip. And if this thing is successful, and I'm going to pull something up, Sadre, if this thing is successful in any way, then sure, would there be like a secondary game, a part two of like what happened to all the people that left our solar system that went out there? Sure, why not? But let's pull up some things to share with you. I've got the character sheet. We've got some of the notes. We have a lot of the art. There is um there's a bunch of stuff. So let's share this out first because this is the big one. This is the more visual. Um, this is the more visual of the materials. Uh, boop, 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 boop. It is a 2d12 system. This is the extremely busy. This I'm going to have to break this up because these files are getting far too large. But this is the character sheet with a bunch of stuff telling you how to do stuff. If your brain gets confused on this, it's quite all right because it's a little confusing even to me. Um, but um, but on the left you have your attributes, and on the right you have your approaches. You have three attributes: force, flex, and fulcrum, and then you pick three approaches, and that becomes how your character engages in the world. And it's a 2d12 system, singularity system. Roll high, not over, and it's an approach. It's an attribute plus approach. So you don't roll 2d12 and add it together. You want one die to roll as high as you can, but not over one of your attributes, and as high as you can, but not over the other attribute, other statistic. So you have an attribute and an approach, and it using initiative, force always acts first, flex acts second, fulcrum acts last. And if you somehow fail in an endeavor, force has the most consequences, flex has the minimum consequences, and fulcrum tends to not have very many consequences if you fail in performing that action or um, intensity or something. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Strive is like willpower, luck, bruising. Strive is kind of a combination of stress and your drive to move ahead. Um, and it's strive is very economic. It's an economy. You want to spend it to succeed in things and wipe away some of the hardships in performing something. But it also means that once your strive drops to zero, you take direct damage to your attributes, which are basically what you would call like your body, your health, your vitality, your hit points. So it comes directly off of your attributes, and that's where you start to get the spiral downhill. Um, and then the second part of this is the biggest part, which are what do you have in your pockets? You either carry gear or baggage. Gear are all your positive attributes, and baggage is all your negative, as it states right here. Gear are positive traits, baggage are negative traits. Baggage always bumps gear. If all your pockets are full, you don't have any strive any longer. You're carrying around too much. And then we have a weird monetary system, which are bricks. And bricks are basically um, containers that people have sent things out into space, and they are Schrodinger's cat, basically containers that people buy, sell, and trade amongst each other because you don't know what's in it until you open it, and it could be anything like dirty tube socks to embryos of some kind of xenovirus or something, to nuclear launch codes, to literally a golden brick. Um, there could be anything inside of them. There could be love letters. There could be someone's diary, or an old Earth ancient gaming system, or comic books, or whatever. Like who knows what's inside of it? But anybody, it's kind of thing. Mm-mm. Sadre says, I love sci-fi. After I started reading in English, my world developed into the stars. That's kind of what happened with me with tabletop role-playing games. Oh, thank you, there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, there, Shy Squad. All right, so um, it going back to a comment that I made before. Your mind is rent to own. Your body is a lease coming to the end of its contract. Is the fact that in this game you can choose to not live in the body you were born in. Story wise, you may actually be forced into a body you didn't choose to live inside of. Further, um, the body that you are in might be temporary, maybe to fulfill a mission of some sort or to accomplish a task. Maybe you decided to live in a body that you're not used to living in, but you erased or were forgotten or your mind was edited. So you're on a mission to do a thing, but you don't remember why you were on that mission. But the idea that you don't remember what mission you were on is part of the mission itself. I'm looking at you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a second movie, um, Total Recall, right? It's mind editing and body editing, and these are some images that there. It's AI art. Can't take credit for this. These are some images of peoples and the genetic bodies they can live in, and some of them have their minds altered as well. Uh, for those who in real life feel like they are living in a body that they are not accustomed to, that they feel like their mind and their body don't there's a incongruity. You can live in a body that you prefer, and especially today, if you could live in a body where you could choose basically on an hourly basis what kind of gender you will show, even non-gendered to the outside and change on the inside. Why wouldn't people choose that? And then why wouldn't other people try to abuse that? Which is pretty sick. Um, Maybe you want to play an artificial general intelligence that is trying to discover what humanity is about. They specifically have a very human-like face so that they can display all the micro twitch muscles that happen on the human face when reading human faces. So the agi or the agi or agi or ag do that. I don't know what the pronunciation is. People who are silicone or carbon, I mean silicone or copper based, or maybe even like nitrogen based, or people maybe you are so collectivist. Imagine living in a society where everyone is a clone of the same genetic background, and so much so that people tend to the people in that are the creche um, are so collective. They listen to similar music and dress similarly and have similar habits that they've developed, similar vices. Um, you know, when they get bored and want to go to the movies, they tend to all go to enjoy the same kinds of entertainment. It's kind of weird. But then again, some people believe in a society where we could giant social experiments happening in this solar system, and I think that would be kind of cool for the solar system. Um, Here's a Novus. These are the redesigned human beings that live in space, and this is what maybe we might look like this and become our own aliens when we live in space and travel the stars, living in a zero G uh, environment. Um, we have an obsession with animals and understanding them. Human beings who wish we could be like them, uplifting animals and beasts and things like that, uplifting them to make them far more intelligent. But then the problem comes in: what kind of rights do they have? What kind of dreams would they have? What kind of culture would they have? Would we still consider them to be pets and own them, or would we give them freedom? And if we started splicing their DNA with ourselves, is that a little bit of bestiality involved in that? Yeah, kind of wild. Um, the docent. The docent, basically artificial humans that were literally designed to be our guides, our servants, our teachers, our hey, you go out in deep space, you need someone or something near you that has a perfect memory. They are basically machine-like, but we also don't want robots. We're completely obsessed with making robots look human, and these plastic people are essentially that's what they are. They are the most calm, nonviolent servant class, artificial servant class. And again, what about the rights of these individuals? Do they have the right to breed? because they have not rebelled, does that mean it's okay just because they haven't said something? Uh, just because people don't say things doesn't mean it's right to abuse their rights. But some people believe that even today. Hey, those people didn't complain, so it's okay to talk to them or treat them or uh, call them outside their names or erase their culture away or things like that. And the social complexities of that kind of stuff. And if you play one of these characters, would you feel comfortable being in service to other people? And such. Maybe you might become one of the first ever to have a violent uprising to not become a service person who is in pre-programmed servitude. And then what about society's reaction to it? Maybe they feel like you're lucky enough to have a life because we made you. Um, why should we do a thing? Um, there are people who want to be the smartest and brightest and the most brilliant, such and such. And so these options are available to everyone. Yeah. Deadman says the question there is not has humanity gone beyond the solar system? It's has humanity gone beyond the solar system and returned? Yes, that's part of the mystery of the signal that happened, the big signal, air capital the signal that sent a signal back that overloaded every information system, humanity to so that we don't die, trashed all of those information systems to get new ones, not realizing that those data cores had information in them. And where did that come from? Did it come from humanity out there beyond the Oort cloud? Did they send back a signal going like, hey, we found something? Is it humanity driven mad? Stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Did they even make it to their destination at all? Exactly. Or if they made it, are they still human by the time they got there? Drew says balancing strife will be interesting. The Fantasy Flight game Legend of Five Rings, okay, also has strife, but I found the game balance bad since it was too easy to always get rid of it or totally succumb to it. And yes, I wanted their strife is something that's going to kind of like peak and drop a lot. And carrying around baggage, I wanted it like the Powered by the Apocalypse game, Thirsty Swords Lesbians. I wanted baggage to be a thing that other player characters can help your fellow characters within your constellation get rid of it. So a player character could get baggage like physical stuff, like broken leg or concussion or bleeding or irradiated or something like that. And medically, other player characters can help them out. But what about social or intellectual things like your emotional status? What about social problems like being, being accused of crimes or having a debt to someone or things like that? Your other players can help you get rid of your baggage because the minute you get rid of your baggage, you can help them out. So you become value added to them within the constellation of your characters. And so now, how's it going to play out? I don't know. Drew says, are we not all forced into bodies that we have not chosen? You are correct. Some of us have come to the some of us have become comfortable in our bodies or at least accepted that comfort without having any other choice. And as we get older, I know that I'm a person of a certain age. As I get older, I realize that my body isn't exactly the way I want it. So yeah, like me waking up this morning, I kind of overslept my alarm to get up at like 5, and I was like, fuck, the show's got to go on, fuck. TA says, was there not more memory-based aspects of his other Arnold movies, The Seventh Day? Yeah, though, for those who don't know it, and I don't, the quality of the movie isn't good, but um, in the movie, spoiler alert, The Seventh Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a character that starts walking around, and in the movie, the first 5 minutes of the movie, he goes into a place called Repet, and there's a gentleman in there that starts talking to him like, hey, talking to him like he knows who Arnold Schwarzenegger is, but Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I've never seen this guy before. Come to find out that Arnie is a clone of himself by the company Repet that's cloning people. So, whew. Uh, Yanada says, regarding how human beings developed in the future, everything will depend on the type of technology available. Yeah, yeah. If you have artificial intelligence, which controls the bureaucracy of the day, for example, imagine how many people would be unemployed. How does this affect society? And that question of like, how would we develop? Would we use, would we trust AI systems to take care of us? Um, Heck, there's if you watch what is this channel? What is come on, chat, move. There it goes. Ooh. 3D printers capable of producing at an industrial level would be another point. These are elements that affect the market, and if capitalism is still prevalent, I see no chance of utopias. That okay, yeah. This setting is very much a dark utopia because, like 3D printing, um, who the issue isn't whether you could 3D print your way out of issues. Who controls the 3D printers? What can you print with 3D printing available? And in this society, with people not hoarding things because you could still 3D print them, when you arrive in another habitat, how will you be able to 3D print your own mission equipment, right? So let's say you need a firearm like a X-ray laser or um, you know, storm tech pistol that fires out like electromagnetic blasts or something like that. Will a 3D printer let you print a very dangerous weapon on a space habitat? The answer is no. So where do you go? Do you go to a black market printer? Do you will you trust someone who owns a black market printer while you print out your gun? Um, will could things be implanted into things you print out, like cookie cutter systems or disabler systems that the minute you point your gun at a member of the authority, your gun turns to dust or ooze or just doesn't work when you point it at the authority, even though you printed it out, right? There's all those problems. That man says, if you think your system is big, Eclipse Phase second edition was more than 500 megabyte file. Then they cut it down to 53 megs of a lower quality PDF. Yet, listen, Eclipse Phase is very high quality, print quality, development quality, like the writing and stuff. Yeah. Drew says, but if you don't know how to pronounce Aji, who does? Pronunciations are consensus. That's up to you. Shitlord says, speaking of gender, are there space Barbies? Yes, there are. Yeah, yeah. You mean like artificially created individuals who are aesthetically pleasing on purpose to be used for trophy and sexual gratification? The answer is yes. Yes. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, Chandre says, this one with the clones gave me an idea of a group like the Bad Batch. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Ooh, 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 trying to come on. Come on, restream. Anyway, the real effect is that it will destroy the grip we have been placed under of a fiat-based capitalism and replace it with a real tangibles capitalism. We'll always have capitalism. It just depends on what we find as valuable. So what would we buy, trade, and sell in a new capitalist system? Would it be art? Would it be labor? Would it be mental labor? Would we buy, sell, and trade memories, pleasurable memories, on the open market to achieve something? And so, yeah, I mean, what would we? We will always value things. What we value the the the, the the end result is if we're not valuing merchandise, then we would replace it with other values. But what would those values be? And I don't know. But I would love to have the fun to choose it though. The reason is that matter is not going to magic up like gold quantities versus carbon quantities material. Oh, about 3D printing. Uplifting animals? Does this mean we can finally get the giant sponge politicians we deserve to rule over us? Unfortunately, no. Um, the politicians in this world all go to Mercury because that is where the laser pushing system to accelerate starships exists. Basically, they're giant laser tubes that orbit the sun to help push starships that use light sails. But those laser assist systems can be weapons of mass destruction. And so no political body wants to have those lasers pointed at themselves. So they've gone to Mars to ensure that those lasers can be pointed at everybody else, but not themselves, which makes Mercury a hotbed. And also, there's a bit of a, much like here in the States, we expect our politicians to somehow have a perfect uh, life, um, wife, 2.5 children, go to church, um, do no wrong, and things like that, even though it's pretty ridiculous. We still expect that imagery to come from our politicians. So I'm imagining on Mercury that the political power on Mercury is that people do the long walk. Basically, the sun starts to rise behind them, and the terminus, as Mercury revolves, one half of Mercury is outside of the sun and it's frigid cold. The other half of Mercury is blazing hot because of the sun and no atmosphere. But there's a terminus where those temperatures, in my mind, and I don't know about the physics of this, would cancel each other out. And that is where the politicians speak to the camera, speak to their fellow constituents, walking with the sun just rising behind them, um, prom- promoting themselves as, I'm here to protect you. I'm here on Mercury. Please keep me in power. I'm here. I am the one that you should choose to make decisions, blah, 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 blah. Very visual, very like all smiles and things like that. Yeah. Um, yeah. He says, but we already live in a real capitalism where wealth accumulation already occurs today, and whoever accumulates this capital doesn't care as long as they get richer. Oh, of course we do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The 1% above the other 99% of us. Yep, yep, yep. TA's going into 3D printing. Don't Kaz. We live in a fiat capitalism. Look into stock value while held versus value if dumped. Yeah, lots of billionaires that are only such on paper. Should they try to liquidate that value, it would quickly turn into millions of dollars, never mind the constant churning of paper and digital money. Yep. And that is not really backed by anything but trust or force and requirement. Yep. Um, Force of belief is another thing that keeps the value of monies, right? Like it's all digital. Like my wife worked in a bank, and like really we if all of humanity decided to take all of their money out of all of the banks, it could not happen. There is no physical representation of all the monies that exist. It's all digital. Yeah, money isn't really backed by anything. It's just an agreement. Yep, yep, yep. It's a vast agreement, but it is agreement. This is why we have a fiat capitalism. Yeah, where real capitalism, you would not use dollars, but rather raw materials versus raw materials. And becoming a billionaire would be much, much more difficult, as well as the enforcement of laws. Yeah, that give advantages like taxation and incorporation, the creation of fictitious people that gain artificial benefits. Yep, yep, from government if they comply and through coercion. Honestly, we are not even in a fiat capitalism anymore, but rather a counterfeit consensus capitalism, because it runs off counterfeiting by the central banks of fake value. Yeah, because they can just print more value. They can create more value in a system that doesn't have it, or where it doesn't exist. Yeah. Once the system is in place, you would contact someone directly to trade materials for materials and use your replicator level 3D printer to make it into what you want, as well as breaking raw materials to make printable material too. Yes, Tia, you are so on point. So no central company to buy printer ink or filament, etc. Instead, imagine a printer that makes its own filament from recycled plastic parts you find and reuse. Yeah, yeah. The idea that space mining and comet farming creates value in places where there isn't stuff is a real thing. Shitlord, sorry, Shitlord's like, I meant space Barbie in the sense of no genitalia. Yes. Oh, here. let me show you someone who doesn't have any genitalia, which is a very strange idea to ask for, but does exist. Um, Here they go. Sorry about the clickety clack. Um, these people do not have they do not have genitalia. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. Service with service with a smile. Yeah, but unfortunately, what would be a uh, um, um, mm, sir to mm, mm, no, I'm gonna leave it like that. Oh, my ears. Let's see if we could zero. Let's mm, 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 mm. Let's look at their genitalia that does not exist because they don't have any. They're kind of feminine, but not quite really because they don't really have a gender because they are plastic people. I'm calling them plastic, but they're artificial individuals that have a somewhat plasticized um, feel to them. They are like a bioplastic people. Shai says, wouldn't all materials in the future be worthless because you can find infinite amounts of materials in space? Um, the simple answer to that is okay. The question becomes because you can look through a telescope and see materials, do you own it just because you can find it and you can find out its location? Maybe you only maybe the ownership of that vast material only comes about when you plant a flag on it, when you physically get there. What if you send an artificial drone to say a comet? Do you now own it? What happens if somebody else just comes along and takes it? Right? Like, so that becomes the point of contention. So, yes, this is why some people are interested in going into outer space because you could find an asteroid that's basically got a few thousand tons of platinum and uranium and argon gas, and like the minute you find it and you plant your flag on it, it becomes of value unto itself. And then you've got to bring it to a place where people can use it and dismantle it. And the value of that starts increasing. The greater chance you have of getting it back to civilization, the greater the value becomes because people will then you'll get into a speculative market. Hey, I own 37% of that asteroid. I'll sell you my pieces of my 37% and so on and so forth. But, you know, it, like Isaac Arthur has said many times, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, water it's everywhere in the vast emptiness of space. But how do you get it? Right. So yes, you are correct. There's an infinite amount of things, but that's almost like being adrift on the ocean and being in an ocean where you're thirsty, but do you drink the salt water? Right. It's possible, but and it's all around you, but you got to get it. Oh, the End King says, I've been thinking about Craniac. You're a Craniac, Craniac. Oh, End King, I've got something I need to tell you. Synthetic servitude. I like the breakdown of that. I'm not leaving that service with a smile. I just was sorry. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm, 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 mm. let me. Sorry, I'm using Canva. I just like to play with it a lot. And let me click out of here. Move this up a little bit. And also just understand designed for social uh service. Um, mm, I'm going to say something so you guys don't have to say this. Ba, 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 ba. The docent, sorry, these individuals here, blue skin, no genitalia, they kind of don't have a gender, although they are slightly female centered because they are designed to be, and I'm doing this air quotes because I don't believe this, but they are designed to be less threatening. So they have a feminine um um leaning approach to them. But these individuals are just as much service oriented as these individuals. The difference is that the Cro-Mags are physical labor and treated as such too. You're going to lift, pull, uh, be guardians. You're going to do all the physical crap. There's some place dangerous to go. You go in first. You're first in, last out, basically, right? But what makes them different than these individuals? And the difference is some people work in the fields when they're slaves, other people work in the house when they're slaves. And that conflict, there was this conflict of the field slave and the house slave because the house slave didn't want to upset the apple cart, even though they knew they were in service because they were treated better. But the ones who lived out in the fields and worked out in the fields were treated the most harshly and were jealous of the ones that worked in the house, which allowed the people who controlled everyone in the first place to stay in power. So there is that contention as well. So yeah, thank you there, N King. There's something else I want to add in, N King, that you brought up, and I'm going to put it in here. Tia says, I feel stupid. I thought that said post-human 2012 singularity system and just realized it actually says 2D12. Yes, yes. Yeah. Drew says, finders keepers. I saw Luna first. It belongs to me now. Okay, well, I guess you do own it. Oh shit. Oh shit, Lord says, sweetness. Now we got a perfect no genitalia R&B sample. I wonder what kind of R&B song you'd sing to somebody that doesn't actually have any gender or genitalia. We can hang out and figure it out. Yeah. Shit, Lords, this isn't going to show up. It's just going to be a bunch of words. Yeah, I don't even know what that looks like. And King says, were both of them enslaved by one now extinct evil empire? Yes, us. And they're not extinct. They're us. The people who created them still exist. There is no, oh, sometime in a distant past. No, they're still around, and they're still human beings, still doing the same thing. Or if they're not creating them, here's another thing. Yeah, shitlord says feminine, less threatening. Yeah, yes, and I'm purpose when I said that, I absolutely positively meant like yeah, meant like meant it to be very very sarcastic because listen, if you think somehow socially women are less violent and less destructive than men, you're crazy. It's equal. It's just some people that are able to hide it a whole lot better. Yeah, Drew says humankind is indeed the evil empire. Oh, hells yes. Hells yes. Yeah. So damn it, N King, now you made me forget. but there's others here. They're not going to be called the Craniacs anymore, but I like that placeholder name. Humans that have modified their brains to such a high level that it's kind of deteriorating their bodies. This is the AI art that came about when I was talking about like skin so taut you can kind of see their skeletal structure and stuff. And that's the prompt. That was the best prompt that came out of it. Um, they're like ghouls almost. They're almost undead looking, but they're their brains are so powerful that literally the bone over top of their skulls is thinned, and in cold environments their brains actually like are steamified and such. We've got the Zenith, perfect people, of course. Um, oh damn it, N King. Fuck, you gave me a great idea, and now I can't. Fuck. Martians. Right now, I'm having a little trouble figuring out not figuring out balancing the unique abilities of one decision over the other. So, like Martians probably are like can breathe very thin atmosphere, cold environments, things like that. Yeah, and they're basically humanity terraformed. Because we always think of terraforming Mars, but the people have been terraforming themselves, even in the most subtle ways, to exist on a red Mars. But what makes statistically in a role playing game, would you want to play them or would you want to play um, individuals that are physically that are sociologically perfect, right? Um, y- you know, their body structure is balanced. They have balanced facial structures. They are strong, fast, quick, enduring, um, require less sleep. Mentally they are actually higher as well. They have greater reflexes and things like that. um, what kind of value would we, and then in a game, statistically, how do you represent that? I have a way of doing it, but I'm still debating it, because I don't want there to be a role playing tax, where one choice is automatically better than the other. Paragons of humans, imperfect perfection. Yeah, because they're a bit imperfect. Here's the Lunarians. There you go, Drew. Can be one of them. Smiles. Um, they are the first peoples. Currently, there's no reason to have this body structure any longer. There are calcium components, exercise, things that wipe away mutation from radiation and cancers, and things that people have, player characters and society has to take. But this look is very popular, and so they are kind of like trophy people. So everyone, like, if you're someone, if you're rich, you're powerful, you're famous, you are influential, you will want one or more of these individuals on your arm to show that you have lots of influence. So a wife or a husband, or if you live in um, a polyamorous relationship, which is very common in this day and age, in this future setting, you would like to have at least one or more of these individuals on your arm, so they're kind of used in a way, in a weird way. But they're also the first family, so a lot of their last names, think economically and politically and socially today, people who are influential simply because of their last names. Here in the United States, I would relate them to being related to someone who has a last name of Kennedy or Rockefeller or Trump, or last names that have an influence far beyond someone famous. Um, 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 I'm thinking of actors and musicians. Um, and my brain stuck, but you get the point. I think you get the point. Um, if you're related to somebody who's influential, then you have Kardashian is another one. Um, these are like monk-like people who've dominated their adrenal system, and they're a little too insular, but also very active. I've done this before. Lastly, plant-like people who produce oxygen, things like, damn. It looks like, damn, those imperfect perfection girls are smoking. I didn't. Hey, listen, you plug something into an AI system. I'll go back to the picture here just so you just to give you a uh an example. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, let me see if I get the picture just a little bit larger here. Oh man. Yeah. And you can tell that um I was, no offense, I was getting a lot of Caucasian art back. And I wanted to I was like, we need to change this up a little bit. So I put in a random thing and they just picked something random. So yeah. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Body. Boom. Ow. uh TA says, is Canva an online only tool? Um online only. Online only. I believe it is. So Canva is let's see if I let me shrink this down. So Canva is of course a online design tool system. So if I want to change things, oh, here's my like pull down thing so I can create different elements. So I can type in something like, let's say I want to look up planets. And then if I put in planets, it'll give me a bunch of stuff. So I can look for some graphics and I can snatch some graphics and insert them into my document. And then I can get like photographs of things. And of course, once you do all that kind of stuff, I can modify them. So for example, this logo over here, I modified greatly. So let's do this over here. Shit. Damn it. Come on, let me get it as big as possible. So this is a logo that I created to represent Obsidian Star. And all the little elements of it I can click and modify around. So, I can change the border, I can edit the photo. I can adjust it and crop it and things like that. I can change its position or like its transparencies and things like that. And then it goes on into modifying it. So this image that I created is actually, I found a circle, and then like I could let me change the background color to like purple, right? I could change it back again, things like that. This logo I created with a circle and then a separate star and then two other stars that I put in place and then changed their shape and position to make that. And then and now this image is one thing that I created from other stuff. So Canva lets you do that. I guess I could show you. Let's share this out here. There's all kind of like templates and stuff like that. Right here, there's a whole bunch here, like Facebook's logos, flyers, Facebook covers, banners, social media things. So if you click social media, I could make Instagram posts and whatnot, what's up statuses, Instagram stories, YouTube intros, animated socials, TikTok videos, Instagram reels, and all that kind of stuff for videos, for documents. It gives you a whole bunch of different documents and things like that. So presentations, print products, like under videos, I can go with like, let's go with a Facebook video. And then it's completely blank. This is a Facebook video. And then I could start doing things like that. Like, like let's see, apply all 6 pages. So I right now I'm on Canva, and then this is a and then I can modify this video. I can modify it. And then I can change the images, change the colors, change the way it works and all that other kind of stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, long story short, that's how that works. Canva. Thank you, Canva. And the only reason I swear by it is because I've gotten to learn how to use it. There are other, I know there's other, some people are like, Canva sucks. And I'm like, probably, but I know how to use it, so it works for me, right? It's like an old pair of shoes. It's like I started using it, so now I'm better at using it. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, yeah, no work today. No work today. But time is going on. I N King, I will remember what it is that I'm incorporating into the setting that I cannot think of right now off the top of my head. I'm actually I'm going. My idea was to create a logo for all of you guys. So um, be aware that you may see a logo that kind of represents you guys. I already got you, Dead Man and Drew and everybody. I was going to make some little logos and put them in here because it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's 7:30 here. Sorry. Um, damn it, damn it, damn it. All right, give me 2 seconds to think about what I was thinking about before. Let me put up an awkward visual image of myself, my face, and I can't think of it. And you mentioned it offhand on a stream, and I was like, "That's a really good idea." Wow, 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 wow. Maybe I mentioned it and I didn't realize I mentioned it. Because I don't even remember the stream that it was on, and I could go back and look for it. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Sorry about that. And I don't mean to leave you in the lurch because I'm like I just can't remember it. But anyway, guys, your time was valuable. Thank you very much for spending it here. I really appreciate it. You guys know because your time is valuable. I hope while you're spending it here, you can make some change. We'll be doing a further. We'll go into more specifics with Obsidian Star and such. It was my idea: free ice cream for everyone. That sounds pretty cool. But why not? Why not? Shai says, I hope you'll make some of those t-shirts to sell. That logo is pretty cool. Why, thank you. I'd have to find like maybe Teespring, or what's the other place that's popular? Teespring, not Zululi. There's another, anyway, there's a number of t-shirt production companies, and I could upload the thing. I don't know how much they cost. Awesome. No work forever stream. Give it about 4 or 5 years if you're around this long to do that. Yeah. I hadn't thought about merchandise or hadn't thought about it too deeply, but maybe something like this and some other strangeisms. Now the thing is that the thing that I can't do that I wish I could is take some of that AI art and kind of modify it, because I would love to do like a logo with some artwork and the logo at the bottom and kind of like a strangeism, but I can't take other people's work and use it monetarily for my for myself. So if I make logos and such like this, or just the big circle, like see on the side of my to the bottom right of my screen, there's a red planet with like a white star in it and then a small black star or whatever. I could do that because I created that as a logo, but maybe it would be better if I made a logo t-shirt for of you guys, and then you can buy your own t-shirt based on you from what you got. That would be kind of cool. Hmm. 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 Yeah, no stopping now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm already going to be infamous for all the air quotes problematic elements of this game. But I really wanted to put it in here because I'm like, all those problems that's all the cool stuff, right, shit lords? Like the cool things that we want to involve ourselves in tabletop role-playing games is confronting problems, confronting things that make us think, make us bother us, that things that we hate, things that the evils in the world, and we want to punch evils in the throat. And the only way to do that is to have those air quotes evils exist. Now we can get into the idea of what is evil. what is ethically and morally completely wrong and bankrupt, that's up to you. And I don't want the game to tell you what's that. I'd like the game to allow you to explore what that is, make that distinction, and then go punch those people in the throat. So yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so let me pull up the character sheet one more time. And I think there's a way to share this out. Um anyone from anyone with the link can access the design using no design, but I want it to be able not to be able to be modified. Anyone with the link can view. There we go. Let me copy the link here, and then I'm gonna put it in the doobly-doo. Copy link. Let me put it here, and then I'll put it in, paste it here. And then what I'll do is I'll take it and put it in the doobly-doo. Drew says usually the issue with problematic stuff is that it does not talk about it, but presents it as reasonable, and that is clearly not what you are doing. No, 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 I'm not doing that at all. What I'm doing is I want to present it in front of people, and then the decision on how you handle that is going to be up to the people that you and your gaming table presents itself. So let me go back to let me give you a perfect example, right? Um, so let's start out with these people. Um, you know, um, Cro-Magnon human beings, ancient humanity that doesn't exist anymore, brought back through genetic power, and genetic use to be created as a slave race. Now, me saying that automatically tells everybody, well, slavery's wrong. We should not have this. And I would agree with you. Sure, the people who are creating these individuals, maybe they should be stopped. But there is a question, though. They are genetically created to be subservient. So within their biology, they act in a subservient way. How do you free people who have been created to be that way? How do you do it? Do we come up with a concoction that takes that away from them? Maybe because they are able to breed and live on their own, should they be left alone to their own devices and choose what kind of life they have on their own, knowing that they're going to fall into the subservient gravity? Um, what happens when they are free? Do you then take control of what if they have too hard of a time fitting to society? Do you now look over them and caretake them? And then now do you then fall into that same category? What about being a player character and playing one of them? Do you really want to play in a world where you're treated as a subservient person? Or maybe you'll feel great about it because now you get to punch evil bastards in the throat. So I want all of that to be an option. And I actually put it in there like, hey, listen, that's up to you. Right. And I don't want to be the judge of that. But I also want people to I want we are imaginative, and I want people to imagine ourselves as either our best selves, like we do in role-playing case. Hey, I'm stronger, faster, more brilliant, beautiful, and more intelligent in this world. Or maybe we want to imagine ourselves in a world where I can confront and take down the regimes that in my own real personal life I don't have that power over. I can live my best life, and that's the thing. Shai says I don't think Obsidian Star is terribly problematic. It's only problematic when it's gratuitously edgy. If it's thought provoking, raising all these questions, it's not problematic. And I want to, and I literally, I'm trying to work on how to present the questions. And what I might do is like in the margins, like every single page, put a different question about society and how we think of society. Like, what if we really need a labor force to achieve a greater goal? Do you think it's okay to temporarily use and abuse people like that? Or maybe it's just wrong. Some would even say Unfortunately, euthanizing this entire population of people might be the best instead of keeping them around. Right? That's a horrible thing to think about. Just the question of the Urani, right? Is there a place for this? Is this air quotes problematic for some people who don't want to see this and they think it's like today they think it's woke culture or something, but in the future, um, I'm imagining this might actually be the more norm in certain places. Like you know, the idea that there's even a gender war itself with technology could just disappear in smoke. So again, problematic to some people, yes, depending on what your opinion is. To others, I'm like, maybe they're the heroes, right? You don't in a different world, they're the heroes of the system. They're the heroes of, when I say the system, I don't mean the solar system. I mean the system of society. Artificial intelligence. Will we come to a point where we trust artificial intelligence? I don't know. I don't know. And understand, if you have a link to this, it's going to keep changing. So just be aware that a lot of this isn't filled out yet because I've like copied and pasted it and stuff. How about not being human any longer? Um, how about the social impetus of people who all are the same? We live in a society today that, on a weirdly not so subtle note, we have individuals who want to change our society, our political system, our economic system, our local neighborhoods, and they don't say it, but they mean it. We should all be the same. There are people who are like, if you don't look like me and dress like me and act like me and work in jobs like me and live in my neighborhood and speak like me and approach problems like me and politics like me, you're an outsider. That's who the Kresh are. They are all the same. And as a player, how would you play a character that is like everybody else? What politics would you push? What social behaviors would you push? I haven't decided what they look or I mean, this is an image, yes, of course, and it kind of makes them look like. Do they all have white hair? No, this is a placeholder picture. You get to decide what they all look like, but how narcissistic is it? Like, would they all look like you? What you look like today? Would they look like what you imagine your perfect self to be? And then here's a weird narcissism. Would you only have relationships with yourself because nobody else is good enough or something? That's really weird and creepy, and I love it. um how about not being human at all, but you are derived from human DNA? Like, if you the more you start changing your body, does that start changing your mindset? If you can see into the dark reaches of space, if you are adapted to zero gravity and light gravity, if your cranium is literally bigger to house a bigger brain and fluid that allows your body to exist in zero gravity and to grow and expand and handle the heat of a more intelligent person, and then would you find other people that look like this to be attractive? Like, would you change yourself but then look at others that look like this, like, ooh, you know um are old humans even human any longer? And then we get into the feral stuff, so on and so forth. So you get the point, guys. Shitlord's like, dude, it's Dro. I love it. Yes, yes. Shai says, okay, putting a moral, ethical, philosophical question in margin is a great idea to kickstart people's thoughts. Absolutely. um Everything is sexist. That's what she said. Yeah. Yes, everything. Yes, yes, everything is, until it isn't. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think I will do that. Thank you for there, Shy Squad. Yeah. Down basically little questions in the margins, in the bottom, maybe at the top, probably at the bottom of the page, questions to think about. And like the question about okay, so everyone would be like, it would be cool to be like a half tiger, half person and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but what? what type of life are you really going to have when other people look at you? Like, are you really half animal? Um, you know, are people going to look at you like like something they can own? Um, it's just a weird thing that I think would be cool to confront. And I want to have these special, unique habitats to be places. So when players go out into space, let's say they go out to Saturn, and Saturn's got something like 60 to 80 moons. I don't even remember how many moons. Uh, how many moons around? Okay, here we go. 146 moons around Saturn. Saturn system teems with natural satellites, from planet-sized Titan to small oddballs shaped like potatoes or ravioli. As of June 8th, 2023, Saturn has 146 moons in its orbit. The moons range in size from larger than the planet Mercury, the giant moon Titan, to as small as a sports arena. That is wild. Now, with 146 moons, that's a lot of play area for player characters, right? Um, and I want the idea that players will travel to a place, and when they get to that habitat, who knows what kind of people will live there, if they are people at all. Um, Jedman says, yeah, the cranium guys likely have a gelatin-like fluid in their head to reduce the risk of concussions. I agree, and maybe some kind of temperature control, because we produce a lot of body heat, and I can imagine the brain producing a lot of body heat. Yeah, but I would, like you said, a gel, maybe a gel combined with some form of like bio impact polymer that's maybe more forgiving but tougher than bone. Like a better version of bone. I'm with you there, Deadman. I'm with you there. I'm going to do a Zootopia with the feral. Yeah. Yeah. Shai says, "How about you put it in a vertical text on the side?" Yes, I'm thinking of that too. Yeah, Shitlord says, "Dude, are you catering to furries?" A little bit, little bit. Although, okay, so all right, y'all want to be like this? Y'all, you want to ask this question talking about furries, right? All right, so my question is this: if animals and humans start combining their DNA, and so they're like kind of half animal, half humanoid, and whatnot, is it okay to accept the fact that their behavior falls in line with the animals that they are attributed to? Would we as a society accept the fact that one of these predatory humanoids would murder, kill, and eat the flesh of a more prey oriented humanoid, like pig, bovine, bird, aquatic? Like, would we accept that? Probably not. Okay, what about the here we go with some problematic things. What about how animals organize themselves and turn into family units? Okay, so gorillas turn into family units with silverbacks being the head and have multiple females in their groups. And they also kick out a lot of the males who are threatening, who then go on to form their own family units. Would we accept that as a society, that in a world where we have done away with genderfied specific roles, that you have these animalistic people who are intrinsically or instinctually falling into those roles? I don't know. That's up to you, right? Maybe it's not so nice to be a furry. The Yanking says, why not cater to people who run the internet? Yeah. Why not? Right? Yeah. I imagine craniacs also have evolved to cackle after coming up with an evil plan. They don't have mustaches. They can rub their hands together and do the the evil warlord, like I'm imagining like the I'm going to change the name Craniac. But I'm imagining the Craniacs would very much be like behind the scenes, like everybody wants one of them to be part of their socio political criminal machinations, people who are always thinking like 20 steps ahead, very much like the mentats from Dune, who are living computer systems, living mathematical systems, people who are, I mean, you could have a machine do what they do, but they are also human like, humanoid like, and so they can combine like um, um, predict what the consumer will do. That's not just something logical, because human beings aren't logical beings, and they are like both logic and emotion combined together, taken to its max. Although you could just punch one of them in the face and take them out, that would be pretty easy. No. Anyway, guys, I've taken up too much of your time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me develop like a so-called problematic system. Like, no, there's lots of problems. That you guys talking about like all kinds of things like um, the impact of capitalism when you can 3D print your way out of a problem. The value of things, if the value of things are infinite, doesn't that make the value of something um, worthless if you can always find more of it, right? I don't know. I think that's a cool question to ask. Guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Taking up too much of your time. I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to leave you alone. Have a great day. I will see thee tomorrow. Peace and tranquility. Shitlords, really? Catering to the furries. Hold on. Last comment. Catering to the furries, that will raise some ethical and philosophical questions. Yeah. Yeah. And a little bit of dirty stuff, too. A little dirty. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace.